Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm your host, Suze, and with me, as always, are my beautiful co-hosts, Tammy and Ash, and of course, our young Jamie Dave from Perception Correction. How are you, ladies and gent, doing this evening?
Stupendous. That's a good one.
I like it.
Pretty good.
Now
I was trying to come up with something different. I don't know.
That was a bit much. That was a bit much.
I'm on the Urban Thesaurus, and I've typed in good, and I'm checking the results, and I choose I'm sweet and sour pork.
Oh.
Sweet and sour pork. We don't like pork on this show anymore. Remember?
Whatever, that was one of the
we're
results.
halal
so
now.
I'm going with that one.
We're halal.
Just
Sweet
like
and
the
sour pork.
mortgages.
Yep.
True.
And
the
KFC.
Oh my God. Oh God. Okay. Well, I love all your, I'm excellent, by the way. I'm excellent. Thanks for asking, motherfuckers.
We know.
I am always excellent, forever excellent. We also have a special guest with us this evening, our good friend from Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it, here to have a little freestyle chat about all the crazy in the world. Welcome, FrozenBelle. Belle, thank you so much for joining us. And how are you this evening?
Hi, Belle.
Hi, I am doing just totally tubular, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank you for joining us. And I like your little, what would you say, tubular?
I'm
Bill
totally tubular.
Bill and Ted throwback right there. I love it.
Yeah,
Totally tubular, man.
Well,
I gotta age myself somehow, right?
we all do it from time to time. We all do. Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to have a fun chat, and who knows what the hell we're going to segue into. Just to let you guys know, you might have to I'm not up to speed with all the latest trending news from over the weekend, as I was mostly offline enjoying my staycation while I house sat for my brother. So y'all will have to get me up to speed with what's been going on. But first,
you missed out. Apparently,
apparently I missed a lot. But you know what? I was poolside and it was awesome. So I'm like, I don't really care. You can all catch me up to speed now. But first, Belle, I wanted to bring some attention to your awesome Twitter page, which if anybody doesn't know who's listening, her handle is at Frozen_Belle, BELLE. You always have great posts and great opinions on things. You never back down from a debate. You always stand by your statements while also keeping, an open line of communication respectfully. So I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you can maybe tell us, was there a turning point or a moment in the past few years that kind of compelled you to come over to Twitter and start speaking out and shedding light on certain topics?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that colorful plug. It's very nice to hear that.
It's all true.
It's nice to hear when people want to hear what you have to say. Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, there was a time, probably around the just before sort of the pandemic, where I kind of just plugged back into Twitter. I was just kind of curious what people were talking about. It's probably just shortly after our last, the first election where Trudeau was elected, and maybe a couple years after that. And I was just like, you know what? I feel like there's got to be more people that are just not happy with what's going on in the world, in our country. And then I really kind of dove into Twitter around the pandemic. I was just so frustrated with what I was seeing just happening in the world around me. It just, the schools were shutting down, and it all felt like nonsense. And it's so easy to get kind of wrapped up in the mainstream media and the narrative that they're creating. But it was, it just felt like there had to be something more going on. And you just could not find that information anywhere else. It just didn't exist.
Yeah.
And so I had Twitter for a long time, but I kind of revamped it and I restarted it, and I just made a new one, and I came on and I was like, you know what? There's just a lot of people having conversations that are just not happening in sort of quote unquote in real life.
Right.
And definitely not happening on any kind of, main or legacy media or whatnot. So, yeah, I just kind of dove back in, and it has definitely taken a few years, but I found my voice on Twitter, and started off as sort of the quiet one that would sit in the back of spaces and not really say anything, and then eventually I just said, you know what, screw this, like I have things to say, and
Yeah,
if
you
anybody has a problem with it, they can just suck it. And here I am.
right. It's actually you actually write that right in your bio. You say something, don't presume you know me, and then you send people to your pinned tweet. I actually read one of your tweets this morning that was pinned. I think you've changed it now since then. But
I did this morning,
I
yes, I
absolutely
gave it a revamp.
I loved the one that you had pinned this morning, and I was like I loved it, and I'm going to read it if everybody doesn't mind. But she had you have like a meme up that says, "I'm a straight white conservative Christian, pro gun, pro hunting, anti abortion, non feminist, real woman. How else can I offend you today?" I fucking love that.
Nice.
And then like your caption is, weekly reminder, no one compels my speech, no one controls my opinions, no one dictates my beliefs, no one commands my actions. Don't assume you know me or think you have the right to demand anything from me. Fucking love it. I love what you have to say. Always. I love this.
Yeah, you know what? I actually ended up like I've called this thread sort of my weekly reminder, even though I definitely don't change it every week. But that one I kept up for a long time. It just felt like it really kind of explained me. The whole thread is just sort of a way to kind of sum up most of my opinions on,
Yeah.
whatever I happen to be thinking about that week or that month, or what's going through the news cycle or whatnot. But I just feel like so often people are afraid to just kind of flat out state what their opinions are, because it might be offensive to somebody. It might hurt somebody's feels. And it's, and people spend a lot of time up in their feels these days, and
Mhm.
people
Sure
don't want to
do.
hurt them. And it's, so I just kind of feel like, you know what? I have nothing to lose by just sharing my opinion. I'm not out here to offend people on purpose, but like if it happens, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Exactly. 100% a you problem. That's right.
Something that I've noticed about
So,
you, though, Belle, is that you are, you're not afraid to share your opinion, but you're always so good to listen to other people's opinions. And
yes.
you weigh them out, and you're very measured in how you kind of um, assess a situation and address what's happening. You're as much as like you're a rebel with speaking out. You're also one of the kindest people that I've met on Twitter. So
Oh, thank
yeah.
Mhm. No, it's true.
and that means a lot to me. And I mean, I do kind of make a pointed effort, not to be reactionary in general. I think it's easy for people to, really, really dive into their feelings, and you let those control them and how they respond to other people. And
Hmm.
while I certainly hold very strong beliefs on a lot of issues and topics and whatnot, the one thing I don't want to be is someone who lives in a tiny echo chamber and can't possibly see any other perspective. I may not change my beliefs, but I'm certainly going to listen to it. And I'm a free speech absolutist. Like I do believe that we have the right to say
Hmm.
and express whatever opinions we want, even the terrible ones, right? It doesn't absolve us of consequences, on a
Yes.
social level of what we say, but we absolutely have the right, should have the
Mhm.
right to say anything and hold any beliefs,
I,
good, bad,
Absolutely.
I agree,
And
and
so
I think people are losing sight of that these days, like, especially,
definitely.
like, definitely the liberals have a long time ago, or progressives, I should say. My hubby
Oh,
actually
certainly.
reminded me today that we shouldn't even be calling them liberals because they're liberal by party, but in actions, they're not liberal at all because liberal people would be standing for freedom. But, anyways,
That's true. Yeah, he's not wrong.
I
Yeah,
really
it's true, yeah.
feel that people these days are not actually caring so much about free speech. They want you to agree with they think, and I think I'm seeing
Mhm.
that on the right and the left now, and I don't know about that. Like I think people should be able to say whatever they want to say. It doesn't mean, like you said, Belle. I think it doesn't mean that they don't have consequences for what they say, but we shouldn't be censoring people, and we should be allowing people to speak because you learn a lot more about people when they just talk than you do if you shut them down and don't let them to say what they have to say. And people learn from each other by speaking and hearing other opinions, and that's how we grow as people. So I really don't like the censorship that we're seeing these days. It's I don't know. I think we're going in the wrong
Well, the only
direction.
way,
Agreed.
sorry to jump in, but the only way to expose shitty opinions is if you let people express their shitty opinions too,
Yes.
right? I mean, I think that there's a lot of really bad ideas out there in the world.
Yep.
And the only way to expose them and talk them out, debate them, correct them, whatever it is that needs to happen, or embrace them, whatever, is if we let people say them.
Yes.
If we're just shutting people down and saying, well, you're from that side of the political spectrum, or you hold that particular social belief or that particular fiscal belief, whatever it may be, there's no way for us to then unpack some of these sort of like evil or nefarious or just sort of stupid ideas.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we just need to be able to flesh them out sometimes on our own. Even if we like, I like the idea of strong opinions loosely held. So or strong beliefs loosely held. So you're allowed to like, feel strongly about something, but if you get new information, then you change your opinion. That's
Yes.
how things should work.
Yeah, that's the only healthy way to have so many different kinds of people in the world, is to just hear people out. And I think the only way to do that is with modicum of respect. I do believe respect is earned, but I mean, I don't think it hurts, to start off a discourse with a modicum of respect, and then just see how it goes from there.
Yeah, let's talk here about someone's shitty opinion. Here, I'm going to bring it up. Belle had a bit of a conversation with this dumbass earlier today. Let me see if I can find it here. So, some moron decided, some trans woman decided to post about being pregnant 6 times, given birth 3 times.
A trans.
Oh, no. You're getting, sorry. The person who posted the original one is actually commenting on the video. The video itself.
Sorry. So the original person, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Yes, this person is posting this video, and she's,
Right.
she's speaking to the fact that this trans woman is posting that he, was like pregnant and lost the baby of some. I didn't actually like watch the full video or whatever because it was horrible and ridiculous.
It was really offensive. The video is essentially a trans-identified male who is claiming that he was pregnant for 10 months and he was pregnant to a dead baby or a stillborn baby for 10 months, and then had the baby removed, and is talking about how, I don't know if I ever want to get pregnant
I'm
again.
sorry, 10
So,
months? What is he?
Right,
Is he an
yeah.
elephant? Like, what is happening here? What do you mean?
And this was female
So-
to male?
No, male.
No, male to female, or male to quote unquote woman.
How was he pregnant?
He was not. I think that's the point of the whole.
That's the whole
So
point.
Gotcha.
The idea is basically he's mocking women that have had pregnancy loss,
Yeah.
essentially, and it's sort of much like they do when they cosplay the rest of womanhood. He's cosplaying pregnancy loss,
That
Yes.
is messed
and
up.
Whoa.
and so I kind of made a comment, and then someone had something to say.
Yeah,
about,
so then
about it.
this stupid idiot comes and quote tweets Belle and says, "Oh no, they used modern medicine to do my thing. How could they?" Like, I'm sorry. No modern medicine is going to make this man pregnant ever. Ever. So it's like he's basically trying to say like us women are jealous because they're doing our thing. I'm sorry, what?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
There's some deep-seated misogyny in there when you're having someone who says, the guy who's online, so probably a dude, is telling the woman that I'm just somehow bitter and jealous because this trans-identified individual is is able to get pregnant. And I'm going, I don't know what medical journals you're reading,
Yeah, right.
but I'm 100% positive that there are no men that have gotten a uterus transplant and somehow successfully had a functioning uterus and had a pregnancy. Like it has not
Actually,
happened.
actually, I think it has. I'm
Not for a male. A woman has had a uterine transplant and had a successful pregnancy, but there are no men on Earth
Is that
that
for
have had
sure? Because I
a
I thought
uterus.
they had.
That's 100% for sure. No, that male body is not physically capable of maintaining a uterus. It has no. It has. There's no mechanism in male
I
biology
I thought
Mhm.
maybe
to make a
they.
uterus function.
I thought they had like a uterus like put in, and then it had to be removed like kind of after the birth. I'm not sure about that, but
Mm.
Yeah,
I
but
I would love to, like, I will
it's
stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I would bet like a significant something of high significance that it has never happened.
let's
It
just
has
say
there's
that
not.
the
It's not
the
possible.
body
It has
rejected
not.
it anyways.
It
Yeah.
it
sorry, go
has
ahead.
not. I just checked. It hasn't been done.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just a uterus that
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
you know what I
I mean,
mean?
there's a whole like system that is involved in terms of like the transition of nutrients between the mother and the fetus, and
Yeah.
like there's just like a whole mechanism that is not set up in a male. There's just nothing like their biology just doesn't support um reproduction in that way.
Exactly. Do we want to
Um,
see this ridiculous video? Because I did send it to the group chat if Dave wants to pull it up, but
I was
I'm
gonna
fine.
say he did just pull it up, but I think he took it away.
Oh
I'm
God.
Yeah,
ready.
let's go.
Shit.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
They took my baby out. It was stillbirth inside for 10 months now. I don't know if I ever want to get pregnant again. That was the most crazy experience. I'm going to be having a funeral for the child, and I'm inviting Mitchell and Joey as well because they were both a part of this baby's life. I hope that all these mothers are
Oh my God. Can we shut this off?
Like this isn't
I can,
satire.
They like it's mocking for sure. 100
Right.
fucking
yeah,
percent. Like
it's so offensive. Yeah.
as a woman myself who has suffered a loss, I delivered a stillborn at 26 weeks gestation. This is offensive as fuck. Like,
Hmm.
holy shit. And no, I'm not jealous. Are you fucking nuts? Like, but you do you. You want to fucking post that shit online to make yourself look crazy? Go for it. Go ahead. Like you said, I'm all
Hmm.
about free speech. Do whatever you want, but it's offensive as fuck.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't believe in global boiling, but my blood just boiled.
Right? What the fuck? What the hell,
It
man?
really is. It really is a symptom of sort of the mental degeneracy that has to go with the cult. That is, sort of like the gender queer cult. You know what I mean? Like it just really is. It's quite the testament to just how not okay they are upstairs.
Right. Belle, speaking of
Yes.
the ones that are not okay upstairs, you are from good old woke BC.
Don't remind me.
Tell us what's the lunacy like on that side of the country?
I mean, it's wild. It's a wild ride over here some days. We've got, I mean, British Columbia has been pretty out there. I mean, what we've been known as California North for a long time, right? Not just for the sort of Hollywood bleed over that happens up here, but also the people, and just the general mentality and the sort of ultra left wing mentality.
Hmm.
Out here, especially, I would say, especially in the Vancouver area, like the greater Vancouver area is quite a lot like, what people think of as California, right? Like it very much is very left leaning. And much like how Ottawa decides the government for all of Canada, Vancouver decides the government for all of
Hmm.
British Columbia. So while we have just some lovely, wonderful people that live out in the interior and out in the Okanagan, they don't have as much of a say because most of the ridings are in the Vancouver Regional District,
Oh
and so
wow.
it's that's sort of how it goes. And Victoria, of course, right, which is
Hmm.
also super like, I mean, just like, I mean, there it's nut bars out there some days. So,
Nut bars.
um, But yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because BC's been paying carbon tax for longer than, as far as I know, any other province in Canada. We had a provincially imposed carbon tax long before,
No
the federal
way.
one was
Huh.
imposed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been, the cost of living here has been, nosebleed high for so long. I mean, most Canadians and young families are priced right out of the market by foreign buyers. And yeah, it's just been, it's a rough, it's rough to be a family,
Hmm.
especially in our case, we're a single income family. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And it's rough. Like, it's hard to get out of here. You want to get out of here so bad because it's just, it's loud and it's noisy and there's a lot of cars, and you know, but you can't because nobody can get ahead. It's the cost of living is nuts, and we have all of that to thank, our socialist
Yeah.
government out here in BC. The NDP essentially is, they took over. They didn't even win the last election, actually. They took over for, the NDP and the Greens like joined together in the coalition and
Mm.
basically ousted the minority Liberal. And when I say Liberal, our provincial Liberals was more like our semi-conservative,
Hmm.
but like LibCon party.
Hmm.
Um, but the NDP and the Greens kind of got together. I'm pretty sure it's the Greens. Maybe don't quote me on that. So don't have to look that up. But they kind of made a coalition and they ousted, the Liberals who had gotten in with a minority. And so David Eby or Ebby or whatever his name is, I never know how to pronounce it, is now the premier, and he's just an absolute nightmare.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's, just been all like a quickly rolling pile of turd downhill since then. So
Um,
that's
Oh
where
my
we're at. Yeah.
God.
So good times out here in British Columbia.
Belle, how
Cool.
long have you lived there? Your whole life, or
No, no. Well, I mean, I was raised in a military family, so I've kind of lived all over.
okay?
I was born in Alberta, lived in several places there, lived all over. I lived back east for many years. I lived in Quebec, before I moved out here, and then in my early teens, we moved out here to BC.
Okay, but so
Um,
you've been out there for long enough that you would like. I'm just wondering if there was like a time when you started really noticing a change, or has it always kind of been like that out there?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it's always been, I mean, when I talk about, if we're talking about, say, the cost of living, for example, it's always been high compared to the rest of Canada.
Hmm.
But that was a huge shock to my parents, when we moved out here and my dad was retiring from the military and they went, "Oh my gosh, like what were we thinking? Houses are so expensive." In terms of like the governance, it always has been pretty much the same. Like, I don't know that I really noticed it that much when I was younger.
Mm.
The politics and whatnot wasn't really a huge part of my growing up. It wasn't something we talked about a lot. But when I got married, and I mean, I was fairly young when I got married. I was 23. That's when I sort of started paying attention to what was going on, around me, and it just felt like, um, there just was like it just didn't feel sustainable.
So,
It didn't feel like a place that was welcoming and that we wanted to be.
would you say that have you like you have some fairly conservative values? I'd say. Would you say you've always been that
I would
way,
say.
or did you kind of change over time? Like, were you more progressive when you were younger, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. I mean, Ash, I resonated a lot with sort of your story. I've listened to all of your guys' episodes,
Recovering
and sort
liberals
of,
unite!
yeah. So I mean, I don't know that I was ever like a leftist. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I definitely, like, I would have classified myself as socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
Right.
Like somehow that meant a lot. I felt like I was a bit progressive. I was all about, women's equality and all these things, like,
Mhm.
all the buzzwords, that come along
Yeah.
with sort of like modern progressivism, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I hated the idea of being called a feminist because I didn't feel like I was a feminist.
Mhm.
You know, I I I I I didn't like things like abortion. But I was the person that was like, well, I'm I'm pro-choice for other people, but I would never do it. Oh, but it's not my, I don't have a right to decide for other people. So there was a lot of, I was sort of like this weird progressive dichotomy of
We sound very
conservatism and
much alike.
progressivism. It was a bit,
Did she say
yeah.
dichotomy? What the hell is happening right now?
OMG.
Tammy, did you hear that shit?
I sure did.
Is that a word that's not allowed? Am I not allowed to use that word?
No. Ash said that word, episodes back, and we were all like, "What?
What
Stop with your
the
big
hell kind of
fancy
word is
word."
that? Interesting dichotomy.
Well, I mean, it's an apt word. I mean, it's applicable, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I definitely became more conservative, I would say, in the last 10 years since I had kids
Yeah.
Mhm.
would be. But then, probably around the time when my second son was being born, would have been, it's just like all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Like, just fuck all of that. Like, I am so done with all of this bullshit. I don't believe in any of that crap. Like,
Yeah.
and so that was when I really started to like articulate and formulate my beliefs, and they became very conservative very quickly.
Well,
Yeah, even like myself, when I had kids, like my perspective changed on a lot of things. I started paying more attention to certain things, like even like the vaccine schedules and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Things really do, you know, open your eyes when you bring life into the world, right? And it's not just
Definitely.
you're thinking for other people as well, right? Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I can't say I thought about that as much with my first son, but it really was when my second son was, well, after he was born, that, for a long time I was very like I almost made fun of sort of like quote unquote anti-vaxxers for many years, where I was just like, oh, you irresponsible parents and all these things. Like I definitely bought into um, that sort of hate for people that were vaccine hesitant,
Hmm.
until my second son was born.
Right. So
And
you have 3 kids, right?
I do.
And your second son, he's autistic, correct?
He is, yes.
Okay. So once, how old was he when he was diagnosed?
So he was just about to turn 4. We were just about to give birth to our third. And when I say we, I mean me. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, he was just before his 4th birthday,
And
essentially, and he was diagnosed.
as a mother to a child that's autistic, I also have a brother that's autistic, but he's older than me, so I don't remember certain things, when I was younger. Do
Mhm.
you did you notice any signs like when he was like infant newborn, or was there like a point where you were like, I feel like something might be up?
Yeah, so I mean, my son is quite acutely autistic, I guess you could say. I mean, it's hard to put a scale on autism, but
Hmm.
if
For
you're going to
sure.
put a scale, he's pretty acutely autistic.
Hmm.
He started showing signs. I mean, let me go back for 1 second. In hindsight, I would say that he was showing signs from quite early on, um, but they none of them were troubling, until um, he was sort of around the age when children are supposed to start speaking, even just single words.
Hmm.
And just none of that happened. There was no speaking whatsoever. There was no, babbling. There was no mamas and dadas and things like that.
Okay.
And he started exhibiting some really specific behaviors that were, mildly concerning, mostly just like, odd, right?
Right.
He was obsessed with patterns. He would do this thing where if there was a pattern on a wall, for example, or a row of chairs creates a pattern, he would run at full tilt past these patterns on the wall, and he would stare at them at the corner of his eye. So he
hmm.
would just like be running past this, and he'd be staring at the wall. And I mean, you would swear he was gonna collide into the wall, and he wouldn't. He would just run one direction, turn around, look at it from the other corner of his eye, and just run past it again. And he would just do that forever and ever. And he was obsessed with it. So there's just a lot of behaviors that were very specific, that prompted us to sort of say, maybe we need to talk to a professional. And I
Yeah.
mean, the wait lists for autism
Hmm.
assessment out here are astronomically long. We waited over 2 years,
Yeah.
Wow.
from the first time we brought it up, to when we finally had our appointment for a diagnosis.
Yeah, they're pretty long here.
It was 2 years. It was a long time.
Yeah, here in
Yeah.
Ontario, my
Yeah.
friend, I think she waited around 2 years too to get a diagnosis for her son. It was actually past the age of 4. I think he was almost close to 6 when he was
Wow.
finally diagnosed.
Yeah,
Now
it's tough when, sorry,
his
go ahead.
he's relatively high functioning to a degree. Like he speaks and everything, right? But and I don't know, maybe that's why it took longer because they didn't see it as like as urgent or whatever to give him a
Mhm.
diagnosis. I'm not sure, but I know she started the process relatively early and it took some time.
It really does. It takes, I mean, if we had the resources, if we hadn't had the government steal all of our money in taxes,
Mhm.
we would have had the resources to pay for that ourselves,
Right.
privately. But you're looking at thousands of dollars, to do a private assessment, for
Which is
autism.
which is crazy. So you were saying like you started thinking about things more so once you had your second child. So
Yeah,
do you feel like some of those childhood jabs are potentially contributing factors to his diagnosis?
I would say that it is very difficult to imagine that the volume and concentration of toxic, um, injections that we are introducing into our children at young ages. It's difficult to imagine that those would not, be contributing to an increase in the likelihood of there being neurological conditions.
Mhm.
And
I agree.
so I would definitely say that it is something that should not be ignored, dismissed, or ridiculed in terms of the concern that's raised with the volume
Mm.
of injections that we're giving to infants, as early as, I mean, in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, it's earlier, but in Canada, as far as I know, it's 6 months is sort of when the first ones happen.
No, it's
Um,
2 months.
oh, you're right.
It's
No,
two
you're
months.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, it's 2 months.
They give you the same shots at
That
2 months, 4 months, and 6 months. And then again
Yeah,
and then again
that to
12
me
months.
just feels, you're right. 6 months is when they start petering off a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, it feels unnecessarily early, particularly when we know that natural immunity, is delivered through the mother for a wide variety of ailments and
Mhm.
whatnot.
For
That,
sure.
for many months after birth,
Mhm.
those immunities that came from the mother are passed on to the child, and then continuously through, if you're nursing and whatnot.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
it really does feel, like like we're exacerbating, um, what could possibly have a genetic component, certainly. But I feel like, there's an environmental exacerbation that's happening to those neurological issues that, I mean, it's almost undeniable. I mean, there has to be a correlation between those two.
Yeah.
But, it's difficult because nobody wants to have that conversation because there's just like a fuck ton of money involved in that
Exactly.
industry.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to have that conversation. And why would they? I mean, they are just rolling in it like Uncle Scrooge, so why would they want to, put money towards that research? Because that would just be economic suicide for them. So
Yeah, for sure. Tammy,
it's very frustrating.
you've been correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been an anti-vaxxer, I think, what, your whole life? What are your thoughts on this? On like
Um,
whether it's a contributing factor to like these diagnoses and stuff.
yeah, so I for sure think it's a contributing factor. I I'm not anti-vax for I'm not even anti-vax actually. well, I wasn't until COVID. I was just brought up in a
Right?
home.
That made everyone that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just brought up in a home where my dad didn't want us anywhere near pharma. So we, I think we got like maybe the initial vaccinations. I don't even know that we got those, but then he was done with it. And I was the first one. So if anybody's got them in my family, it'd be me. But as far as I know, we don't have anything. He's no longer alive, and I'm not sure my mom would even remember. So, yeah, he just kept us away from it. So I was kicked out of school on several occasions while my dad fought the school boards on vaccines that were allegedly mandatory, even though they weren't mandatory at the time. And like, basically they would try to like scare him into getting us vaccinated. So, yeah, we never got any as long as what I remember. And then same with pharma, but I think there's definitely a contributing factor there. And if you look at, the rise in different conditions since vaccines have been, really like
Release.
kind of
Released of all
released,
liability.
but then since they've come out, but also like since they've ramped them up, you can see there's definitely something going on there where we're seeing, a lot more conditions in people that we weren't seeing before. But the other thing too, especially with something like ADHD, is the other contributing factor is the sprays on the plants, and one of which is folic
Totally.
acid. Folic acid is very much linked to ADHD in children. And unfortunately, where, most people get up every day and what's the first thing that they give their kids? Probably cereal with grains, wheats.
Yeah.
Right. And their poor little bodies can't process it. And I won't get too much into it, but Gary Brecka does some great research on it. And if there's people listening with little ones, it's something that you'll want to look into and stop giving your kids cereal.
Well, and is that not what we're recommending to all, expectant mothers
Yep.
to
That's
start taking
correct.
their folic acid, right? I
You
mean,
sure are.
I understand that there's a difference between the folic acid and folate. Actually, I think I learned this from you,
Yeah.
Tammy, to be honest, in one of the previous episodes.
Hell
I went to
yeah.
I went to my husband after that episode and I was like, would you believe this? Like, you will never believe what the ladies were saying on the podcast. And he was like, oh yeah, I've known about that. I'm like, and when were you going to tell me, you big numpty? Like,
Ooh,
Yeah.
numpty.
he's like, my husband is just like way more up on this, like, Tammy, I think you would have a lovely time talking with my husband, to be honest. You guys are two peas in a pod. But yeah, I remember you actually mentioning that in an episode, and I thought, you know what? Like, maybe I was a good thing. I was terrible at taking my supplements. Like, I was like the mom that was like, I bought one bottle at the beginning of my pregnancy, and by the end of my pregnancy, it was like there was 90% of it was still in the bottle.
Yeah.
So like
It's a blessing, really.
maybe that was in hindsight, but yeah, I remember just being absolutely guilty. Oh, make sure you're taking your full, make sure you're taking your this and your that and your other thing, and it was just like it just felt overwhelming.
Yeah. And they don't, like anybody listening, if you're taking a vitamin right now that's processed in a lab, stop, because it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything good for you. It's all synthetic garbage. If you want a good vitamin, you need to get something that is methylated, and you need to get something that actually comes from whole foods. So I'm very, very particular about the vitamins that I take.
Not the store.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if your vitamins say that they're made by Bayer, stop immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. And same with vitamin D too, right? Like a lot of people just think like, oh, this person told me to take this, so I'm just going to go grab that off the shelf. No, it's not the same. There's so many synthetic vitamins out there, and we cannot process them. So it's wasting your money, but it's also causing, long-term harm to you or to your children. So this is why I've been screaming about folic acid for, a long time now. Like I've gone so far at this point. I rarely in a pinch, I'll eat, bread from if maybe if I'm at a restaurant or something, but it's very rare. And I make all my own pasta. I make my own bread. Like I try not to touch a single wheat product from this country.
Nice post today, by the way.
Which one?
You made
What, the pasta
spaghetti.
post?
Yeah.
Oh,
that looked
oh,
good.
that was from the weekend. Yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah,
by
I
the
saw
way.
that.
I'm behind.
I was like, when are you making me some spaghetti?
And that's the other thing. There is nothing like making your own pasta. So if you haven't done it before, oh my gosh, get
It's
yourself
rewarding.
some Italian flour and make your own pasta. It tastes so amazing. Like it is so worth it.
If anyone
Anyways,
has
Homemade pasta is
Folic
more
at the
filling
brand.
too.
What was that?
Homemade pasta I find more filling too. I mean, I think that so many people consume an inordinate amount of bread products in general, but people tend
Yeah.
to sort of bulk up on pasta because it's, you know, it's cheap to buy right
Oh,
at
yeah.
the store. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. But homemade pasta is so much more filling. You can eat way less calories and feel so much fuller for so
Yeah.
much longer.
And you don't get the bloat provided you're not using like a wheat from Canada. And I laugh because people will say, oh, like, no, mine's organic. That's cool. The organic is sprayed with that too. So sorry
It
about
means
your
nothing.
lack. The
Yeah.
only in the US, the organic stuff is not sprayed with it, but in Canada, unfortunately, it is. And so part of like that bloat that you get from pastas and breads and stuff when you eat them in Canada is a result of all of those chemicals being put onto the wheat. If you make your own and you do it with a good imported flour from, I use one from Italy, you don't get that bloat. Like you can, it's basically like you just ate a salad. You actually feel great after you eat a bowl of pasta.
Wow.
If my understanding is correct, that there's also something to do with like the genetics of the wheat that we have here in North
Correct.
America. There is like there's no non-genetically modified wheat left in North America. It's all been modified just like to the nth degree. Whereas there are still strains of wheat that are much closer to sort of like an old ancient strain of the original wheat left in, you know, Italy or the Mediterranean, things like that, that you just can't, they just don't grow it here.
Yeah, people need to look into their food more because basically everything's poison.
Yeah.
So
It really, well, I mean, it really is. Yeah.
this weekend,
now-
my mother-in-law was here and she brought some grapes from Costco, and they're
Were
called
they fake?
well, kind
No.
of. They're called cotton
Shit.
candy grapes, and they taste delicious and they taste like cotton candy. And I'm eating them and I'm like, what devilry is this? Like, what have you done to these grapes to make them taste like cotton candy? Like, I couldn't get over it. I like the taste, but I'm like, nope, there's something wrong with these.
I'm surprised.
They've done that. They've done that to a lot of our produce. I've noticed they've started sort of slicing, you know, different strains of things to kind of modify or flavor. A lot of our apples that we have now, I mean, so because I live in BC, we have the Okanagan, which is where a lot of apples come from, and peaches, things like that. And they have all these like new varieties of apples. I'm like, are they discovering new genetic lines of apples that we've never had before? No, they're genetically modifying apples to create new strains that are sweeter, crunchier, brighter in color, different things. You know, they're more appealing aesthetically.
Like Honey
which I
Crisp,
think is just
which
nonsense.
are delicious, but
Delicious, but
probably
like
terrible for you.
completely
Yeah.
yeah, they're completely genetically modified. They all tend to have really high sugar content and lower fiber content. Like it's you know, I'm not versed on it, so
So
I'm
the
not going to go
exact
too.
opposite of what you actually want from an apple.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're often not as they're nowhere near as nutrient dense, and they tend to have a lot higher sugar in them. And
Have
whatnot.
you?
So
Yeah, there you
had
go,
a
Dave.
cotton-
Got you, girl.
Oh, what is Dave? Oh, look at this cotton candy grapes hybrid. It sounds like a marijuana fucking strain.
well, don't smoke it.
Hey, there probably is one called that.
Probably.
Dave, what did you just have up about the grains from Italy? I just wanted to see it.
That was Italy banning GMO, producing GMO food.
Amazing.
Go Italy,
growing
yes.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did it in 2016, and then when the girl Melanie or whatever came into
Georgia
power,
Maloney. Yeah.
yeah, apparently she faced the decision again because she's getting pressured by, they're going to grow faster and we can make food quicker and it'll be larger yields and blah blah blah. But she still said, "No, fuck it."
Oh, good. Because I'm not sure
Good
about
job.
her. I don't know about her, but that's good that she did that.
I mean, bigger, faster, and more resistant to pests is very much like it's like the motto of the North American agricultural system, right?
Correct.
Like just
Mhm.
we want it bigger, we want it faster, we don't want to have to, fight off the bugs for it, even though we're supposed to eat the bugs apparently now, but it really does. Everything is just like it's just bigger. Everything has to be bigger and more and more and more, and it's
Yeah.
it's how we've ended up in this place that we're at where our food is nutrient deficient and toxic, and everyone's getting turbo cancers, and everybody's scratching their heads and wondering why while
Yeah.
they shovel highly processed food into their face on a regular basis. So
It's all about keeping us fat, sick, and stupid, right?
There you go.
it really is. Yep.
If anyone wants to go down a weird rabbit hole, look into what fruit used to look like. It's really
Ooh,
fucked up how
what
much they've
fruit
messed up
used to
our.
look like.
Yeah, it's like everything was way smaller, mostly seeds. Now almost everything we get is seedless, of course, because they don't want us to grow it ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Oh, guess what? I'm growing
what?
a
Watermelon?
lemon tree. No, a lemon tree.
Ooh.
Yes, my
That's
husband.
Oh,
My
oh dear.
my husband has decided he wants to, it was his idea. He's like, I want to try to grow something from a seed. So, it sprouted. And I'm like, oh my God, it's working. He's like, I'm hoping to get like a couple little lemon trees. And then in the winter, we're going to send them to my mother's house because she like has like this makeshift greenhouse in her house. So she can keep it alive for us, or we'll probably kill it. A lemon tree.
I had an absolutely hilarious post actually about a woman with a lemon tree this week. I don't know if anyone saw it. There's a video of a woman who was just a friend of hers came over and was asking, why do you have lemons in your fridge in a bag from the store when you have a lemon tree outside? And this person was just very stumped that she was the only person in the world that didn't know that you could just pluck fruit off of the tree. She seems to have thought that you had to do something to the lemon in order to make it edible. I don't
Come
know where
on.
she went to school or what happened,
What was
but
this?
it did not feel like satire. It felt very
I
like
was
she
just gonna
very
ask.
much was just like she very much was just seeking someone to be like, please tell me it wasn't just me that didn't know this.
Okay,
It
well,
was
regarding the
yeah.
lemon tree, it will take about 10 years to get like good lemons that you can actually use when you grow the
Right. I mean, that's true, but I mean, her lemon tree apparently has lemons on it
and
at the
was like
time of
huge
this.
and shit.
And yeah, we're like substantially enough that her friend was like, why don't you just pick your lemons off of your tree?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Have you
I
ever
mean,
gone to a strawberry farm and seen out in the middle of nowhere on somebody's farm and seen what the strawberries look like from an actual organic strawberry farm versus the grocery store?
Well, I've
I
gone
have
to like
strawberries in my backyard that do not look like the grocery store.
No, it is
Teeny
so
tiny
messed up.
balls. Yeah. Yeah.
It is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
They're like Frankenberries, the ones at the store. They
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah.
They're like just, I mean, and the size of I remember I had one recently and I like my youngest son just loves strawberries. And so I was like, you know what? Like these went on sale. I'm gonna buy these strawberries. I don't know why. But they were like this one strawberry, I swear, was almost as big as my fist. It was just,
Yep. Oh yeah.
it looked like some weird concoction in a lab. It was nuts.
And
It
they
was
aren't even the
ridiculous.
same shape.
No,
No,
they're
not
not
at
they're
all.
not the right shape. They don't taste like anything. They taste like
I know.
strawberry flavored water. Like
Yeah.
they're so bizarre. Yeah.
They're like the
Same with watermelons
Gatorade
though.
of
Watermelons are
strawberries.
like that. Yeah, right.
Gatorade of strawberries.
Yeah. Watermelons are the same. Like they just don't taste like anything anymore. It's not at all what a watermelon should taste like.
Well, you heard our last a couple episodes ago where we were talking about fake watermelons, right? You heard that?
Mhm. Yes.
That was
Although
interesting.
on that note, I wash my watermelons, just for the record.
Oh, do
I wash.
you?
I do. I do. Do you know why? Is because you have no idea how many people have touched
There
the
you go,
outside
Dave.
of that watermelon by the time you get to the point where you're cutting it, and you are sliding your knife
That's
across
actually
this
true.
peel and then into the meat of the watermelon, and then the water inside the watermelon is going to wick in everything that was on that knife. And so I wash my watermelons because I am grossed out by the people that I see blow their nose with their fingers around where I live.
Mm.
And so I refuse to eat a watermelon that I haven't washed because I don't know who's touched it, to be
Okay,
honest.
look
Like,
at
it's gross.
this picture Dave has up. So is that supposed
Oh
to
my
be
goodness.
is
Yep,
that supposed to be
right?
what a watermelon looked like once upon a time?
Pre-domestication.
Yep.
Stop it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
But
That
are
is wild.
we absolutely sure about this? Is there like more pictures of this?
Yeah, we need to fact check this.
I was gonna say, like, the after, at least it does look more appealing to me.
Pull up bananas too. After you fact check the
Oh,
watermelons,
bananas. I mean,
pull up what
But
bananas used to look like at some point. It's
All
wild.
right.
seriously?
did you know that bananas are berries? I think that blows my mind every time I hear it.
What?
Bananas are berries.
What?
A banana is technically classified as a berry.
I'm
Oh,
You're
Googling
come
welcome.
on.
this.
Oh my
So
god.
am I.
My mind is just blown.
Yeah, I'm a homeschooling mom.
It says right here,
Holy
We learned.
shit. Yes, a banana
artistic
is a
fruit
Come
berry.
berry.
on. What?
Wow.
Oh, that's such good trivia. I love it. I'm gonna crush it on that one. Sorry, I didn't mean to say kill. we just got
You'll impress
got
somebody
pulled off
somewhere,
YouTube.
right?
Yeah, it says the fruit of a banana plant is produced from a single ovary and contains several seeds, which makes it a berry.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Yeah, the things you learn when you have to teach your your
But sorry,
second grader.
you mentioned you're a homeschooling mom, but like, doesn't your older son is in the school system, isn't he?
Yeah, so when I first had kids, I had no interest in homeschooling. Now, in hindsight, I wish I had done it with all of them. But yes, my oldest is in public school, and he would like to finish in public school because of the fact he's in French immersion, and there's no option to French immersion, homeschool, and to graduate with the double dog, like it's called the dogwood here in BC, the diploma or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get two of them. You get one for finishing school in English and one for finishing in French. So he gets a double. It's like a
Oh, okay.
fancy extra little thing. So there's no option for that for homeschool. So
Mm-hmm.
he does homeschool two of his courses. So he does two of them through our online school. And then he still has to have a full course load at his brick and mortar school as well. Um,
Okay.
and so last year he finished 11 courses by the end of the school year
Oh, wow.
with straight A's. No
Oh
lower than
yeah.
93% in all of his courses.
Oh,
Sorry, just
nice.
to plug my
Proud
son.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
own that.
so
Yeah, good for you. Good for him. That's
Own that
awesome.
shit. Yeah.
So,
he's such a hardworking kid. Yeah, he's just crushing it. He's so amazing. Yeah.
so considering he is in the school system, though, what are some of the challenges you're facing or you're seeing with the school specifically in BC? I'm sure it's very similar to here,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's probably the same problems, different name. So we have something in BC called SOGI. I don't know if it's called the same thing in Ontario.
No.
But it is basically um, sexual orientation and gender identity,
yeah, we
which has
here.
been fully incorporated, into the schools. So much so, actually, that recently, a friend that I actually met on Twitter got an email that he forwarded to me generously so I could read it, where he tried to appeal to the school to allow his children to opt out of some of these lessons and these curriculum activities that were happening.
Mhm.
To which the school duly informed him that SOGI is essentially backstopped into every curriculum from the beginning. So there is no way to opt your children out
Are you fucking
of
kidding me?
this curriculum because it's fully integrated into all of the curriculum. And I've been telling people this for years. Nobody wants to listen to me because apparently I'm just a fear mongering tinfoil hat person. But yeah, I mean, it is fully integrated from K through 12 into
Wow.
all curriculum from even from preschool, and it's something that comes up in all of the subjects. Every subject has it
Even math?
backstopped into it. They will find a way. They've found a way to incorporate it into everything.
Wow.
So it's fully integrated. It can be brought up in any context in any subject, and it is encouraged that they find a way to incorporate Soji into every class. Um, it's encouraged at a district level as well as a provincial level, and then of course the teachers unions are like fully on board.
Of course.
Um, so yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Wow. Like we
It's
have that shit here, but I don't think it's to that degree. Like you can opt your kids out of stuff. Like I had a letter sent. My kids were in grade 1 and 2 last year, like the year that just finished. And there was a letter sent home. They were going to, what were they? They were talking about something. I can't remember now. And they were sending us the letter home to inform us and let us know if we had the option to opt out, and we had a certain date to let them know by or whatever it was. Now,
Mhm.
also, my kids are in a Catholic school. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, private schools and religious schools still have a modicum of autonomy in terms of some of the content that they are allowed to opt out of. But it definitely is sort of under attack. Like the even at the even the religious schools are being sort of encouraged strongly
Oh,
through
yeah, they are for sure.
threats of loss of funding to incorporate all the same things that the rest of the public schools are incorporating.
Wow.
And the only if you do have children in public school, and like no judgment, because it is what it is. Um, but if you do, like, the only way to counter sort of the radical indoctrination that they're facing is just to be wide open with your kids
Mm-hmm. Oh, for
about
sure.
the issues that are important to you,
Mm.
to make sure that you are spending as much time as you can instilling the values that are important to you in your children early on. Like, don't wait until they hit high school
Yeah, it's
before you start. You have to start earlier because they're starting earlier.
yes,
And
it's like these kids, whatever they're taught first, kind of holds the most weight, I think, in my opinion, right? So if you can
yeah,
teach them your values before the school gets a hold of them and teaches them whatever fucking nonsense they're going to teach them, then
yeah.
at least you've already kind of got them. Your value and your values will hold more weight than whatever the school's trying to tell them, right, or push on them, right?
And not only that, but also teaching them that just because an adult teaches something to you doesn't automatically make it the truth.
Yes.
I think there was a time, I mean, I know our generation was very like, respect your elders, they're
Hmm.
wiser than you, listen to your old people,
Yeah.
what your teacher tells you, you do it. I think, unfortunately, while obviously teaching them to be respectful to people in authority, there's definitely a dangerous it can be dangerous to teach them that everything that they hear from another adult is accurate, even if it's a teacher.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so I think teaching them that, sort of that, like, critical thinking much earlier than ever before, it has now become essential in order to safeguard them from just the lunacy that they're going to face
Hmm.
when they go. Because I mean, my youngest son is fully homeschooled, but he's the kind of kid that just, if he hears an adult say it, he's like, well, that's just the truth, right? Like, there's lots of things that we've kind of had to unteach him,
Yeah.
because he'll hear it on, some little educational show, or somebody will tell him something, and in their little minds, right? Like, they're just trusting, and they just believe that people are there to give them accurate information.
Hmm.
And they just, I mean, as we know, you know there are some sick, dark individuals that are controlling what our children are being taught.
Yeah, for
And
sure. I've been teaching my
we don't have a
kids
choice.
to question everything, including me. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm included in that.
Ooh.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, 100%. I'm
Ooh.
like, you don't just. I'm like, you. If you want to challenge me, you want to question me. Question me. I will respond and I will give you the facts and whatever. Like, don't be afraid to, don't, just because I'm your mother, you can't question me. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think teaching them open dialogue, right?
Mhm.
To be able to have open dialogue and to be able to trust you to have hard conversations. Because I've had some pretty tough ones with my oldest son, right? He's 16. I mean, there's some uncomfortable conversations that have to happen. And I don't want him going to somebody else and getting his information and getting his,
Yeah.
his learning from his peers, certainly not his peers, because, that's just awful. um, and definitely not the adults that are in his school system. So we have fostered a very open dialogue with him so that we can have some of these like kind of awkward and uncomfortable and tricky conversations, and not it doesn't have to be painful.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Before we segue to something else, Dave, you had this funny looking banana up not too long ago. Can you bring that up again? Because
Yeah,
that
it's
looked
gonna
a
it's
little.
gonna be a whole little website of like fruits before and fruits now, as Ash was talking about earlier, and I
Yep.
found her banana. Here we go.
Can you believe this?
Wow.
Come on. That's a berry.
So what is that supposed to be?
That,
That's the banana.
yeah.
That's the
Oh my
banana.
gosh. No.
Check out
Right?
eggplant. Watch this.
Stop it.
Stop.
That's not the same.
Wait, stop it.
So that's an eggplant.
That's a
Is that not an
fucking-
eggplant?
That's an eggplant.
That's a gas consuming eggplant. That's an electric eggplant.
That's
Wow.
not the same.
An electric, like an electric slide.
Yeah.
Like what?
Not
What
the
is
same
this?
Twitter emoji that we're used to.
Right?
Okay, but where's the
Oh my
carrot?
gosh, that's a carrot.
No,
Yep.
but what's the part you eat?
The
We have
root.
to
The
clean all
root.
this out.
It is a root.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
it is. Yeah. Like the modern
think
ones,
about
those
parsnip.
little wiry hairs are so short now. They're like little hairs, right?
Mhm.
That's corn?
No.
Stop.
Stop it.
Sorry,
Can't
everybody.
I can't. I just,
Wow.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Tammy, you're quiet over there. Well, your thoughts on the crazy.
She already knows all this, so
She's
she's
like,
just laughing
I
at
saw
us.
that. She's like, I saw that website 10 years ago. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, they're poisoning us.
They really are.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
But
crazy.
it tastes so good.
I know, like assholes.
That's the thing, though. It is like candy now. They've made it into candy.
Mhm. They really
Wow.
have. Yeah. Scary.
So, what else you guys want to talk about? Well, Belle here. I know you're a licensed gun owner. Our friend Ash is also one.
I am, yes.
This is true.
I am not yet, unfortunately, and I don't.
Get on that, Suze.
Yeah.
I'm working
And
on
Tammy.
it. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And Tammy too. And
Mhm.
Dave, you're not.
Yeah, I'm
like,
down.
don't worry. I'm down. I'm down to get some guns.
You know what? I think the more women that can get licensed and get owning firearms, the better. I mean,
yes.
I'm sort of, I know we don't have the Second Amendment, but I'm a strong Second Amendment advocate. I think that firearms are a great equalizer for women. In a lot of situations, I know that's unpopular to say in Canada because
Yeah,
we
you mean
technically
against
do not have the
deers,
right
right?
to self-defense.
Yeah.
Yes, against wildlife, against the
deer.
bears,
Yeah.
against the bears. But no, I think more and more women, it's becoming popular. Not that I see that many at my gun club, but yeah, I think that more and more women are kind of getting out into the outdoors and realizing that they can harvest their own food, they can provide for their family
Mhm.
in ways that is deeply unpopular in a lot of parts of Canada.
Yeah.
Still, because people have this misconception about what it means to be a firearms owner,
Yeah.
which is really unfortunate.
Or a hunter. And I know you said you're going to start
Yeah.
hunting this fall, I think, with your 16-year-old son, right?
Yeah, so my son actually also got his firearms license.
Good for him.
And
Awesome.
he and I have a hunting trip planned. He has he's a youth hunter, so he has some extra privileges that are involved. There's certain seasons that are only open to youth hunters,
Oh.
and there's certain limited access or limited entry hunting that was only available to youth. So he was able to get a tag for a deer, an antlerless deer that was only available to youth. So I think it's great. It's good. Get your kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
Get the wives and the husbands and the cousins. I'm going with my brother. It's been something we've bonded over. My brother and I are 8 years apart, so it's been great because we've kind of bonded over some similar interests. Bringing family together, and
Yeah.
we're gonna go harvest some food and provide for our family, and and
That's
be able
awesome.
to stop buying that crappy shit that's glued together at the grocery store.
Glued together.
Belle, how long have you been?
Tammy knows what I'm talking about.
He sure does.
So yeah,
Oh,
no, I
man.
think I feel quite strongly actually about it. I think it's a net positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I
Belle,
definitely
Yeah.
wanna get my
Yes.
my license too. I
how
know
long have
Tammy
you
and I
been
might.
hunting for? Sorry.
No, go ahead. I don't think Belle has
Sorry,
started.
me.
I
Yeah.
don't think she started
Me?
hunting yet.
Yeah, so no, I've
Oh,
never actually been on a hunting trip. So this will be my first hunting season. My brother has been hunting for many years. So
I
we've been
see.
living
Oh,
vicariously through his hunting. But we are going to be going on a hunt in September and then again in October.
I see. Oh,
That will
cool.
be quite exciting. So my brother, and I mean it is great if you can find somebody that can kind of take you under their wing and kind of get you started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessary. There's some great resources through gun clubs. There's some great resources through different wildlife organizations,
I want to get Marty Spire to
whatnot.
take me
And
out.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
yeah,
Take me, Uncle
Yes,
yeah,
for
you
sure.
Marty.
guys got a bunch of good hunting buddies to tap into out there where you guys are. So
Mhm.
definitely take advantage. Get out there, go trudging through the forest. Get out to the gun range first. Get out to the gun range as much as you can. Get some shooting practice in.
It's
100
actually
yards,
really,
150
really fun.
yards. Yeah.
Tammy, what are we going to be hunting? Because there's a whole slew of cute animals you refuse to eat.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta think about that.
Turkeys?
My favorite animals are moose, and I will absolutely eat the crap out of a moose.
All right. Moose it is. Tammy, you good with moose?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Moose it is.
I'll send you guys some sausage.
Nice.
Ooh. Yes. I'm excited.
See, if a dude said that to me, I would think he was being forward.
Right?
But we're chicks without dicks.
We sure are. Sure are. I remind
Sorry, I
everybody
stole your
of
line,
that.
Sue.
Yeah, I remind people all the time. Well, I think maybe that's a good end. We're chicks without dicks.
Woohoo!
Plus Dave.
Plus Dave.
I'm proud of it.
Hold on, I was
But he's-
searching evil animal for Tammy so that I can bring up a picture of it and it could be like, well, Tammy, you're probably gonna want to kill this fucking thing then. And then I
Oh
think
my
I found
God.
one. Ready?
What is it? What is it?
Watch
What is
this.
it?
Hold on.
Oh God.
Boom.
What the fuck?
What? Stop it.
Oh
That's
my
just
God.
Take it down.
it's like yeah, I don't even know what that is. That's awkward. It's so uncomfortable to look at.
Okay, bye.
Oh man. All right.
That's
Any
a
final thoughts on
that's a
all
gorilla
things covered
fin.
this evening? A gorilla fin.
It took me that long to come up with that.
Oh God. All right, ladies, Ash, Tammy, Dave. Dave, you're not a lady. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Any final thoughts on all things we covered this evening?
They're poisoning us. That is
They're
all.
poisoning us.
Yep. They really are.
Don't eat the wheat.
Don't eat the wheat. That's Tammy's tagline. That should be your tagline. Don't eat the wheat.
Don't eat the fruit. I'm sorry, it's candy.
Ash?
Belle, it was so nice to finally get to actually talk to you. You're such a lovely presence on Twitter. And so I always appreciate your posts, and I love being in group chats with you because you're just such a great person with very rational, well thought out ideas on so many different topics. So I'm really happy I got to meet you on Twitter, and then it's lovely to be able to talk to you tonight. So thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thank you so much. It's, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know how to answer to that. So it's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. I'm all embarrassed now. I always like to say like this little old housewife, but I really do appreciate you guys having me on. It's very humbling to be included in your guys' podcast because I'm just so excited for you guys. I can't wait for, just your podcast just get huge. I think you guys have wonderful things to say,
Well,
and
thanks,
I
Belle.
tune in every week, and I've listened to every episode. So
Thank
very,
you.
very proud to
Oh,
be.
thanks,
Thank
Belle.
We definitely
that's very
appreciate
sweet.
that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, before we say our final goodbyes, Tammy, you are
Yes.
up next, my friend. What are we talking about next week?
Well, first of all, I second everything Ashley just said, Belle.
Yeah,
It
I
is
have
really,
more to say.
yeah, it is really nice to actually get to talk to you, and I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast. For next week, I actually have a woman named Michelle coming on. She is a victim of human trafficking from a very young age, and later on, actually was a victim of an attempted murder.
Wow.
She
Wow.
was left for dead on Wreck Beach in British Columbia, and
Oh, wow.
she's going
What do you know,
to
BC?
come. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a nude beach. Wreck Beach is a nude beach.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so the man that did this to her was actually convicted of murder of another woman. I believe it was after her. So she reached out to me just in regards to some of the human trafficking stuff that I've been looking into. And we just kind of got chatting, and her story, honestly, it just blew me away. So I asked her to, to come in and share her story. So she's going to join us next week.
Oh boy, it sounds like it's going to be a tough conversation,
Yeah.
but one that everybody should probably hear for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Belle,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute blast, as I knew it would be. Please come and chat with us again anytime.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoy your take on things, so please keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Don't stop.
It's been such a blast chatting with all of you. It's lovely to hear all your voices and be able to actually interact. Because sometimes when you listen to the show and you just want to like interject, but you can't because you're not there. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to use my big mouth and share what I have to say.
Anytime. Anybody that's listening, if you haven't checked out Belle's page, please do so and give her a follow. She's got a great page, very informative, funny, and heartfelt as well. Her handle on X is at @frozen_belle. That's BELLE. Thank you everyone for listening to yet another episode filled with nothing but bigotry. As always, catch you all next time. Bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.